Here are a few principles and practices that have emerged from putting the U into practice, and that reflect some of the key learnings kind of from a worldwide user community. Number one, practice the U, don't preach it. So the starting point is really to applying the U, the observing, connecting, and acting from what's emerging in your own personal practice, but then also kind of create learning environments for others where they can actually go through that process rather than downloading the story onto them. Number two, become a black belt observer and listener. So that's really about establishing the horizontal connection, really hone and develop and cultivate your capacity to listen with your mind and heart wide open. Number three, connect to your intention and operate as an instrument. So this is really about establishing the vertical connection, grounding yourself in what your real intention is, and beginning to operate from a real alignment with that intention. Number four, when reality opens up, be fully present, stay with it, and then act from the now. So the staying with it is a key learning here, because most of us, okay, we can connect with something that's going around us, but then when a crack opens, often we feel compelled to jump to an immediate response. But connecting, how is it that you connect to the deeper levels of the U process? Answer, by staying with it. By just staying with a situation, don't impose a response too early, but allow kind of a situation unfold at its own terms. So when reality opens up, be fully present, stay with it, don't jump too early, and then when something begins to emerge, act from the now. What that really requires, acting from the now sounds simple, but what it really requires from us is to often let go of an earlier plan, let go of an earlier intention, to connect with what is emerging in a situation and then taking it to the next level. 5, follow your heart. Do what you love what you do. Remember the Steve Jobs clip that probably most of you watched and saw kind of during this lab or before? That's the key principle. Him saying the only way, it's not one way, it's the only way you can do your best work is by do what you love what you do. Number 6, always be in dialogue with the universe. So, following your heart, following your own passion is kind of one leg on which you walk. But the other one is really listen to what is it that the universe has to tell you. And it's not always a message that we love or like or appreciate at first, but we really need to learn how to pay attention what the message is that the universe wants to convey to us. And it doesn't mean that all the feedback we are getting we have to internalize. Sometimes you get feedback that doesn't really speak to your idea. But when it does, we really need to take it to our heart. Number 7, create a level 4 holding space for your journey. So as you can see here, this is a small group of women supporting each other. They meet every 2-3 times a year and create a deep listening, supporting environment that helps each member of that circle to connect more deeply and more reliably to their emerging future self. I have felt that in my own life. Whenever I had such a circle of deep listening, a deep coaching circle supporting me, and I supporting others, that's a huge boost. It's a huge resource and support that we can give ourselves in our own developmental process. And it can be one of the key takeaways. It's in fact why we ask you to apply the coaching process in your own context, kind of with your own coaching circle. Now, for some of you, kind of the future of this circle may be the people you met in your group. For others of you, it may be, people outside of this circle. But the principle kind of and the practice here is that you have to create such an environment for yourself. Number 8, balance your talking-doing ratio. Well, people like me, and it may also apply to many of you, kind of when you stay in front of other people, or kind of you facilitate or you help others, all of us, so we are in the danger of over-talking things. But these deeper principles that we talk about here, if you don't live it, if you don't kind of practice these things, and anything that you try to do really falls flat. So this talking-doing ratio is a very important part for all of this inner cultivation work. And it's a key focus area of our own personal development that enables us to be in the service of the challenges that we face as communities and how to respond to them. Now we come to the second set of principles that, as you noticed, the first part was focusing on the individual. Now we come more on the system and the organizational level. Identify the crack. And what I mean with crack is the opening to an emerging future possibility in organizations, society, and self. So how do we start in an institutional renewal process? And the starting point is to identify the crack. And the crack is where the old way of operating no longer works, and we are facing a challenge and an opportunity that obviously requires us to operate in a different way. It's kind of that disconnect, kind of that mismatch that is a possibility, and then you want to pay attention to your own sense of energy. Is it just something important for the organization, or is it also kind of important to you? And is it also important kind of for the larger system, for society? So you try to look at these resonances and identify areas where an opening, a significant opening for a profound renewal initiative are happening. 10, use different languages with different stakeholders. Connect to them in terms of what they care about. So we tend to use the same kind of language and communication style with all the different stakeholders. But the more you work with very different groups, the more you become aware of that, communication really is the art of finding a way of connecting, of communicating that connects with what matters to them, that connects, that draws them into a changed situation around the issues that they care about. Because without that, you will have no commitment in the stakeholder group you may be wanting to convene. If you want to change others, you need to meet them where they are and be open to be changed first. So when you want to change someone else, another stakeholder, but you cannot control, there are no hierarchical ways of doing it or no other ways, the only way of doing it is really your quality of relationship. And the best way of building that quality of relationship is actually being open to be changed first, to be the first one who opens up. And often I also found that asking, kind of initiating a relationship where you ask genuinely for help is a great way of forming an initial relationship that then allows you to evolve that on these issues that you really want to focus on later on. Co-initiate through local leadership from the heart. There was a study of the World Bank and of all the projects that they had and that failed and those that succeeded. And the single most important factor kind of they identified is the core leadership team, that there is a core leadership team which usually is kind of from that local community. It's kind of the commitment from the heart at the core of any kind of initiative that in the end very often makes a difference. Use sensing journeys that help people to see the system from the edges, and use collective sensing mechanisms to see the system from the whole. So what you see in this picture here is kind of after a sensing activity, people come back together, and they put out kind of these stakeholder from roles in the system, and you see kind of these little feet ahead of them, and then they would step into these roles and speak from the eye in order to articulate what it is that they really learned in their sensing journeys, in their deep listening dialogues, and so on. So you're enacting the dynamics of the system in real time by speaking from the eye, kind of by speaking from a first-person perspective. It's one way of kind of making sense of complex stakeholder dynamics. 14, holding spaces that support the team at the top and emerging leaders to lead their individual and collective transformation journey. Often, when you work with larger systems, kind of there is, of course, something you need to do on the front line, but then there's also something you need to do at the top level, kind of helping the top level leadership to hold the space and to go through their own transformation journey. And then there's a third area with the next generation of leaders, more in kind of the heart or in the middle of the organization. So those are like different touch points, and what you see here is that the leadership team at the top, that often looks like every 3-4 months, kind of 2-3 days, kind of where you have a deep learning environment that allows that group to turn around the perspective, to reflect on some of the deeper issues, and to help each others to become more effective in dealing with these issues. 15, prototype by acting from the now and with regular review cycles and support structures. So prototyping is the capacity to act from the now, and one way of one support structure actually for prototyping is tough deadlines, kind of to make teams, to make people, to make us present material even though it's just half-baked and we haven't fully figured it out, because the essence of prototyping in many ways is present a concept before you're done, before kind of the full development has taken place, because then it allows you to build in all the great feedback that you get from others into the further evolution of the concept. Second last, co-evolve the system by using prototypes as seeds through linking micro and macro level leadership. So when, what this means is that kind of when you work kind of with prototyping initiatives on the ground, often at the front line of the organization, and once these initiatives develop and develop something interesting to look at, then you bring in the more senior level leadership so that they experience firsthand what's working, what's not, what's like to walk in the shoes of others, and thereby create an experience that allows them to develop and to inquire into the question, what is really the essence of this innovation, and how can that be developed in my own area of responsibility, which then is being explored together. So rather than just scaling by taking the outcome of processes, you take the process. You create an experience, and then you help people to take that process to apply it in their own context. And lastly, never give up, never give up. You're not alone. In fact, when I think about the few things that maybe I was part of, some progress or breakthrough or some accomplishment, all of them, none of them happened with the first try. In all of them, particularly the more significant ones, I was about to give up. And so the one thing I learned there is really about perseverance, which is exactly when you're almost ready to give up and to really move on, that's when, you know, the breakthrough may be kind of just ahead of you. So never give up, never give up. May sound like a contradiction to letting go, but the letting go really refers to everything that's not essential. And the never give up, never give up, never give up really refers to that which is essential in your life. And I also noticed in talking with many other change makers and innovators that, you know, this kind of belief, so what does it mean you are not alone? Of course, there are more of us around. That's one meaning. But there is also a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning is that it's a belief that I also share, that if you really connect to the deeper spark, to the deeper intention in your life's journey, and if you put yourself in service of that, and you fully commit to, you know, following that journey, then the universe is going to help you. So the universe being the people around you, kind of being kind of the context kind of that you're exposed to. And that is certainly something that I experienced. It's something that has to do also with the power of the community, with the power of an emerging social field, with the power of an emerging global movement that we all are part of. And it's something that I have heard many others articulate. Few would ever say that in public, but I think it is kind of a lived experience for many of us, and that's why I'm putting it here as the closing principle. All of that, of course, is work in progress, and hopefully together in our journey forward, we will jointly evolve this set of principles and keep it as a living system as it really is, evolving, maturing, and morphing into something more advanced than it is now.